Spencer, out in theaters, directed by Pablo Larraín, who has previously made Jackie, amongst other things. This film stars Kristen Stewart, Timothy Spall, and Sean Harris, and depicts 3 days in the life of the Princess Diana Spencer. 3 days during Christmas, which she has to spend with the royal family in a countryside palace, which is difficult because of the collapsing marriage between her and Prince Charles. That in itself causes a lot of tension, but it also puts enormous pressure on Diana herself, from the royal family, from herself, from the media. She feels like a total outsider on the one hand, but also a puppet on the other. Everything in the life of the royal family seems to be planned meticulously. There's no room for individuality or personal opinions or even change. Tradition dictates everything. So she's thrown into that situation, all the while experiencing mental issues. In the film, she begins dreaming about Anne Boleyn, having hallucinations as a result of reading a book on her life. And so we kind of observe her in this anxious state of haze and exhaustion, just trying to survive in an environment which clearly is pretty hostile just below the surface. The two things that impressed me the most about the film were the central performance and the cinematography. Kristen Stewart is unbelievable as Diana. She completely nails the accent and the mannerisms, despite not even being British, and with the makeup she actually even looks the part as well. And people who knew the real Diana apparently came out saying that the performance is in fact incredibly accurate. Crucially though, it's not just an impression, like for example Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody. Kristen Stewart really plays a character with all of her strengths, but even more so weaknesses. It's a very vulnerable performance, full of sadness, anxiety, exhaustion. As time goes on, you really experience all those things together with Diana. These feelings of being completely caged, of being in a hostile environment. It's almost suffocating in a way. Secondly, I mentioned the cinematography. The film essentially looks like a collection of old photographs with slightly washed out colors. It is beautiful in its own unique way, really commands the attention of the viewer, but also creates this specific atmosphere that permeates the film, the atmosphere of a cold winter day. These two factors, combined with smaller things like production design, costumes, music, especially the use, the way that at the beginning there's a lot of discordant jazz with notes being played slightly out of tune to kind of match Diana being out of tune with the rest of the royal family. All these factors help start the movie in a really engrossing and fascinating way. The first half is truly captivating, and I was glued to the screen. I was there with Diana. However, in the second half, around the time that Diana goes out to visit her old family house nearby, things started to fall apart slightly. I thought that from then on the film kind of loses its steam, loses the ability to grab you completely, despite even before not having a fast pace. As time goes on, it becomes more unfocused. There is a point with a long montage of Diana in different clothes and situations, which is meant to be a sort of a dream slash memory slash imagination sequence. And at that point, I kind of snapped awake and from this haze, and I started wondering where we're going with this. So that took me out of the film. And so I think by the time that the movie reaches its climax, it loses some of its power. I also had some issues with the ending, which is quite drawn out. It almost feels like the film knows it should end right there, but it just keeps going because it really wants to do one more scene, one more shot. So as a result, it lost me somewhat. The central performance is still there right up until the end, and it's worth seeing the film even just for that, but I do think it's a shame that after such a strong first half, the movie falls off. If it had managed to maintain its level of quality throughout, I think it would have been terrific. As it stands, overall I would say it's just alright. It looks great, it is performed fantastically, but it isn't as tight as I would have liked it to be.